Welcome to the ArcherShaw Temple podcast, teachings for sovereign awakening, sacred union, and embodied devotion. I'm Christopher Shaw, here with Aeon Archer. May this transmission meet you exactly where you are and open the next doorway on your path. Let us begin.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome also our viewers on YouTube Live and our podcast listeners. So this past week in Puerto Vallarta offered us a living classroom. Not the kind we would have chosen, but the kind life sometimes hands us without warning. Our city shook energetically, emotionally, and for some people, psychologically. There were fires, rumors, confusion, and a level of collective fear we haven't seen in a long time. But the deeper story wasn't what happened in the streets. The deeper story was what happened inside of us. Because when everything gets really loud, when things become uncertain, and when the world stops following the script we were expecting, something very human gets revealed. We see what people are actually anchored in. We see where their resilience lives. We see what frequency governs their inner world. And this week made it clear that there are really only two kinds of responses when a crisis happens. Some people collapse inward into fear, spiraling into imagination, into stories that run far faster than reality. Their nervous systems get hijacked. And once that happens, the mind does what it always does when it's afraid. It creates danger where there isn't any, and then tries to survive the danger it created. We saw this play out in real time. These are people who love their lives. They're people with good hearts, people with no bad intentions, but they were suddenly overwhelmed, bracing, tightening, trying to protect themselves from their own thoughts. And there is compassion for that, because that response is very, very human. All of us know what fear feels like. But there was another response, a quieter, steadier, higher frequency response that emerged among those who have done their inner work, who have learned to breathe under pressure, who have practiced meeting life instead of collapsing underneath it. These were the people who said, okay, this is intense. The city is on fire. It's a lot, but we're here and we're breathing and we'll respond to what's real, not what's imagined, and we'll take the next step as it comes. This is resilience, the sovereign kind, not the brittle, I'll push through it resilience of survival mode, but the grounded, present, embodied resilience that isn't thrown off its center by circumstances. And what this week showed us is that resilience is not something we suddenly develop in the moment of crisis. Resilience is something you have been building inside yourself long before life ever shakes. It's the architecture of your identity. It's the relationship you have with your breath. It's the way you hold yourself when things don't go your way. It's the internal stability that grows from your spiritual practice, your leadership practice, your relational work, your self-awareness, your healing, and your connection to source. Resilience is not a reaction, it is a capacity. And here is the deeper truth. How you meet one crisis is how you meet all of life. The patterns that come out under pressure are the same patterns that show up in leadership, in relationships, in your career, in your spirituality, in your healing journey, in the way you handle conflict, and in the way you handle opportunity. Someone who collapses in chaos often collapses in conflict. Someone who spirals in uncertainty often spirals in relationships. And someone who panics in crisis often panics in purpose. Someone who abandons themselves when things get hard usually abandons their path when it gets uncomfortable. And someone who stays grounded in crisis stays grounded everywhere. Because resilience is not about the moment we are in. It is about who we are inside the moment we are in. So leadership is one of the clearest mirrors of resilience, because leadership will always place you in moments where the ground shifts. Anyone can lead with conditions when conditions are calm, but true leadership shows itself when emotions rise, uncertainty enters the room, and people look for someone who is actually here. A resilient leader doesn't depend on certainty. They depend on coherence. They don't rush, collapse, or match the fear around them. They take a breath, they return to themselves, and they let presence lead the way. Resilient leadership sounds like this. Let me breathe before I speak. Let me see what's true before I react. Let me stabilize myself so I can stabilize the space. Let me hold perspective so others can regain theirs. Let me respond to what's real and not what's projected. This isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about choosing clarity over urgency. And this week, we saw the difference. Some led from anxiety. Others led from presence. Grounded, steady, and able to calm the field simply by being centered. Resilient leadership isn't about being unshakable. It's about being self-returning, coming back to center again and again. When you can do that, your presence becomes a stabilizing force. You become the anchor others naturally orient toward. That is real leadership, not perfection, but presence. Now let's talk about resilience in relationships. If leadership reveals our resilience in the outer world, relationships reveal our resilience in the inner world. The people we love touch every tender place inside of us. They expose our patterns, our fears, our expectations. And because of that, relationships become one of the greatest teachers of resilience. Most relationships don't break because of conflict. They break because people don't know how to stay present inside conflict. Without resilience, even small moments can feel threatening. A tone, a misunderstanding, a need we're afraid to name. And when we lose our center, we fall into old survival strategies, shutting down, defending, withdrawing, blaming, and projecting. Resilient relationships look very different, not because they avoid challenge, but because both people know how to stay themselves and to stay with themselves and with each other. Presence. Resilience in relationship sounds like this. Let me take a deep breath before I assume or say something. Let me listen instead of protecting myself. Let me stay connected even when I'm activated. Let me return to truth, not to my old story. Let me move toward repair instead of away from it. With resilience, conflict becomes a doorway to deeper intimacy into me, you see, rather than a reason to disconnect. We fight cleaner, repair faster, communicate with more truth, soften where we once braced, and stay open where we once closed. Resilience allows love to withstand pressure. It allows connection to survive misunderstanding. And it allows two people to stay aligned even when their nervous systems are not. And we saw this week. Some people collapsed into fear. Others reached for connection. And some of you became anchors simply by staying regulated. Resilience in relationships isn't perfection. What is it? It's presence. It's the willingness to stay with yourself so that you can stay with the person in front of you. With resilience, love doesn't just survive, it becomes a power. It becomes a force. Career and purpose test our resilience in a unique way. They don't test our emotions like relationships or our steadiness like leadership. They test our endurance, our ability to stay committed to a path that unfolds slowly, unpredictably, and often without immediate validation. So most people imagine purpose comes with clarity and momentum, but true purpose arrives like most sacred things do, quietly, gradually, asking for devotion and resilience. There will be seasons on your path where things slow down, where the next step isn't clear, where the results don't match the effort. Without resilience, those seasons trigger doubt. Maybe I'm on the wrong path, you might think. Maybe I'm just not enough. Maybe this is just not meant for me. And many people quit, not from lack of talent, but from lack of resilience. They cannot hold a space between where they are and who they are becoming. So with resilience, something shifts. You begin to understand that growth comes in waves, expansion and integration. You understand that delay is not denial. And you understand that your path is preparing you, not punishing you. Resilience in purpose sounds like this. Let me stay committed even when results aren't immediate. Let me trust the timing instead of forcing it. Let me stay aligned even when others don't see it yet. Let me respond with clarity, not desperation. And let me hold my standard even when it feels easier to shrink. A resilient person doesn't let temporary conditions dictate long-term direction. They don't abandon their mission because of a slow season or a closed door. And here's the quiet truth. Purpose will stretch you before it fulfills you because it's shaping you into the person capable of holding what you are creating. Your purpose doesn't require perfection. It requires what? Presence. It requires staying, perseverance. And when you stay committed, aligned, and devoted, purpose becomes less about achievement and more about embodiment, the expression of your soul through your work. That is resilience and purpose, not the push of ambition, but the steadiness of devotion. Now let's talk about resilience and spirituality. So spirituality is often imagined as a place of peace and clarity. But anyone on a real path knows this. Spirituality is not where we escape our humanity, it's where we meet it. Because of that, spirituality asks for a unique kind of resilience, softer, deeper, and more intimate than any other form. There will be seasons where you feel connected, open, and aligned, and seasons where the light feels far away. Your practice feels flat, your mind is restless, or the divine feels silent. Without resilience, those moments feel like failure. We think we're off the path, when in truth, those moments are the path. The spiritual journey moves in cycles of expansion and contraction, clarity and confusion, devotion and doubt. And resilience is the bridge that carries you through the moments when your ego wants to quit and your spirit is quietly asking you to stay. So resilience in spirituality sounds like this. Let me sit with myself even when I'm uncomfortable. Let me stay connected even when I don't feel anything. Let me trust the silence as much as the breakthroughs. And let me keep my heart open when it wants to close. And let me walk with the divine even when I can't sense the direction. This isn't spiritual perfection, it's spiritual fidelity. It's staying in relationship with the divine the way you would stay with a beloved, with presence, honesty, patience, and devotion. Resilience transforms spirituality from something you do into something you are. It turns breath into sanctuary, body into temple, and daily life into practice. And here is the deeper truth. Spiritual resilience is not the strength to hold on. It is the willingness to be held. Held by breath, held by presence, held by truth, and held by the source that has never lost you. You don't need to feel connected to be connected. You don't need to feel strong to be supported. And you don't need to feel clear to be guided. This is the heart of spiritual resilience, the devotion that stays, the surrender that trusts, the awareness that returns, and the presence that chooses to open again and again. Spirituality doesn't ask you to rise above life. It asks you to meet life with a steadier, more surrendered heart. That is resilience, not force and not perfection, just the willingness to walk with yourself and the divine, even in darkness. So this week in Puerto Vallarta was a mirror. a reflection of where each of us is anchored, a reflection of which frequency runs our system, a reflection of what happens when life presses back. And guess what? None of us broke. Even those who wobbled did not break. Even those who spiraled did not break. Even those who felt fear still came back to themselves. And those who stayed steady became the grounding presence that helped others return. This week did not ask us to be perfect. It asked us to be present. So the invitation is simple. Choose resilience on purpose. Choose the higher vibration by choice. Choose breath over panic. Choose presence over projection. Choose reality over imagination. Choose truth over fear. Choose sovereignty over collapse. And choose devotion over disconnection. Resilience is not something you build only in emergencies. Resilience is something you practice in the small daily moments, the conversations that stretch you, the disappointments that visit you, the responsibilities that challenge you, and the transitions that ask you to grow. Every day becomes training for moments like the one we just lived through. Every breath becomes a vote for the version of yourself you are becoming. And every time you stay with yourself, really stay with yourself, you strengthen the architecture that holds your life. Let us close with prayer. Beloved light, source of breath, source of presence, source of all that steadies us when life begins to shake. We close the teaching in gratitude for the breath that never leaves us, for the body, our temple, that carries us, for the inner strength revealed when life presses back, and for the resilience that rises from within. Today, we remember that we are steadier than we think. We are stronger than our fear. We are deeper than our reactions, and we are wiser than our anxiety. Divine presence known by many names anchor these truths in us. May we walk as resilient beings. May we meet life from breath, not panic, from presence, not projection, from truth, not imagination. Restore what felt shaken, strengthen what felt fragile, hold with compassion what felt afraid, and gather what felt scattered back into wholeness. And may the resilience awakened within us this week move into every corner of our lives, our homes, our relationships, our leadership, our service, our purpose, and our spiritual path. Nothing that happened this week broke us. It revealed us, our capacity, our clarity, our connection, and our wholeness. And so we close with trust that we are guided, we are held, we are resilient, and we are whole. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Guru Om. Amen. Aho. Ashe. And so it is. Aeon will now lead us in a brief meditation to help us embody the teaching. Beloved.
No. All right. All right, family, wherever you are, allow yourself to settle just a little more deeply now. I invite you to find a posture that feels supportive, upright, not rigid, relaxed, but not collapsed. Let your hands rest wherever they naturally want to fall. And take a slow, easy breath in and a soft breath out. We begin with the body. Feel the weight of your hips settling into the seat beneath you. Feel the spine lengthening, not by force, but by invitation. Feel the crown of the head gently lifting, as if the space above you is opening a little wider. Let the shoulders soften. Let the face soften. Let the belly soften. You don't have to hold anything right now. Now gently bring your awareness to your breath. No effort to change it. Just simply notice. The inhale arriving, the exhale releasing. A rhythm older than your thoughts, older than your fear, older than anything that shook you this week. Your breath is the first resilience. Let yourself be breathed. On your next inhale, imagine the breath moving down the front of your body, from the collarbone, down the heart, into the belly, into the legs, and all the way into the ground beneath you. And as you exhale, imagine the breath rising up your back, from your tailbone, up the spine, behind the heart, up the back of the neck, and all the way to the crown. A gentle circulation of light. Front body softening, back body strengthening. Again, inhale down the front, grounding you. Exhale up the back, supporting you. Now bring your attention inside the center of your chest. Not the physical heart, the inner heart. The quiet space behind the sternum. Imagine a small flame there, steady, warm, unbothered. This flame is your resilience, the part of you that doesn't shake even when your mind does. Breathe into that flame. With each inhale, it brightens. With each exhale, it steadies. Now, imagine that flame expanding slowly, gently, filling your chest, your belly, your back, your arms, your legs, and into your whole body. This is the light of the self, the part of you that remains whole even when the world feels loud. Let it fill you. And now silently repeat after me, not as affirmation, but as remembering. I am steady. I am carried. I am whole. I return to myself again and again. If your mind wanders, let it wander. If emotion rises, let it rise. Everything is welcome here. Nothing has to be fixed or pushed aside. You are simply practicing staying with yourself, staying with your breath, staying with the truth beneath the noise. This is resilience, not force, not armor, just presence. Now bring your awareness back to your heart. Ask quietly inside yourself, what part of me is ready to soften? And simply listen. No effort, no forcing. The answer may be a word, a sensation, or silence. Whatever comes is enough. Take one more deep breath in and an even slower exhale. Feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your body supported, feeling your heart being held from the inside. When you're ready, begin to wiggle the fingers gently, the toes, roll the shoulders, and slowly returning to the space around you. Family, your resilience is not something you manufacture. It is something you simply remember. Christopher will now lead us in today's offering.
Welcome back. That was a good one. That was a good one. Good one. All right. Before we close, I'd love to speak heart to heart with y'all. This temple, this field we gather in every Sunday, it's not funded by a corporation, a denomination, or an institution. It's held by all of us. It exists because we choose for it to exist. Because something in you knows that this space is rare, a place where your nervous system can settle, your heart can soften, your mind can clear, your spirit can rise, and your life can realign. Merkaba Temple is a sanctuary built in real time through devotion, through presence, through generosity, and through the shared belief that truth and integrity deserve to have a home in this world. Let's take a breath into that. Om Namah Shivaya. If this temple has supported you, if these gatherings help you return to yourself, if you feel more anchored, more open, more whole after being here, then giving, it's not a transaction, it's participation. Reciprocity. It's your yes to the very space that nourishes you. And so, with love, I would like to invite you to give now, not from pressure, not from guilt, not from obligation, but from alignment. So, if you feel it, you can take out your phone, open Venmo, at Merkaba Temple, all one word, or visit merkabatemple.com Donate to use credit cards or PayPal. Give what feels true, give what feels clean, and give what feels like a reflection of the value that you receive here. The amount doesn't matter. The coherence does. Thank you for giving, for caring, and for choosing to be a pillar in this space.
Thank you for being here with us at ArcherShaw Temple. If something in this teaching helped your body soften or brought you back into yourself, let it keep moving. Share it with someone who's ready. This temple is sustained through conscious participation, through those who feel the resonance and choose to support the work from clarity, not pressure. If you feel called into right exchange, you're welcome to support the mission on Venmo at Merkaba Temple, all one word. And if you'd like to go deeper, you can schedule a complimentary soul alignment session at archershaw.guru. Until next time, take care of your nervous system, walk gently, and stay close to what's true.